come here every day on the bicycle from Petropavl-Boshahivka, and then every evening I go back. After 2 years, nothing has happened to me, fingers crossed of course. It can be done. If you're healthy, when you're young, I think this is the way to go. I mean, a city like this with traffic jams like these, I think they should all do that. And I'm sure they will. 20 years from now, there will be far more people on a bicycle than now. When the weather is not good enough, I come to the office in the subway, which is also a very good way of traveling, which the people in the cars apparently also do not understand. Subway is perfect. In 20 years it will be different, because we cannot afford this kind of a lifestyle, driving in cars every day, every night, and queuing up for half an hour in traffic. It's ridiculous. We have to change something. Climate change, how this planet is changing as we speak, because of us, but we have to change our ways. We have to, as I said, we have to probably get out of the car and get onto a bicycle. Ukraine is a beautiful country, it's a big country, but also we know it's a very polluted country. Particular areas of the country are really very dirty. We are scared for the water, for the air quality, for the soil that is very polluted. So unless we change our ways of doing things, Ukraine will go down the drain, also climate and environmental perspective. It's some of the solutions in the area of energy and climate change. They are right there and right here. I mean, Ukraine is the biggest producer of wheat in the world, I believe. We're producing sunflowers and sunflower oil as nobody else, and a lot of the bio-waste is actually burnt. We are told by the scientists that if you collect all of it, you don't even need any gas anymore in this country. All the heating of the buildings can be done with biomass, and some of the electricity can be generated by biomass. As UNDP, over the last couple of years, we have been experimenting with how to do that, because of course there's certain technology involved, certain systems need to be put in place, but the way it looks like, it is really a very, very, very good investment for the country, but also for individuals, for schools, for public buildings. If you buy, instead of a gas installation, or a coal installation for that matter, if you buy a biomass installation, within 3-4 years, you start earning money instead of spending it. The break-even for this project is really very good. But of course you have to have some of the initial investment, and that's why we're working with banks. Because if you don't have the money now, but you need to have a credit, then you can buy the installation. And in a couple of years you can pay back the bank and you can start earning money instead. We have a number of, I think up to 12 biogas installations operational. And you can go and see them anytime. They are demonstrations. The machines are actually produced in Ukraine, so it's not, don't have to import anything. And then also the supply of biomass is already becoming more regular. Unfortunately, on this building, you would need a long pipe, too long. The municipality will not allow a long pipe. Otherwise, we would have had one here. I could have shown it to you in this office. Because those kind of bigger buildings, office buildings, schools, municipal buildings, they're perfect for these kind of biomass solutions. Ukraine had one big problem, that a lot of the medicines that are being bought from government budgets, they were not actually being bought. And Ukraine parliamentarians and the government realized that a lot of money was wasted, and in fact, poor people in hospitals, cancer patients, many other diseases, they were not having the medicines that they need, while the government budget is there. So the government decided to take the government budget, give it to international organizations for them to procure. And ever since, which we have been doing now for 2.5 years, ever since, these medicines are again in the market, and patients, sometimes young patients, patients with orphan diseases, as I mentioned, cancer patients, hemophilia, tuberculosis, ever since these medicines have come regularly to the market. It's a big success of the fight against corruption, I believe, and I think it was a very good decision of the government. In the medium to long term, starting hopefully 2019, We're also assisting with setting up in Ukraine a new agency that we're going to do this procurement again, because of course it's not really United Nations job to buy medicines for Ukraine. I mean, you can definitely do it, but the systems need to be put in place, the anti-corruption measures need to be put in place, because the way it was 3 years ago, it was really completely unacceptable. It's not because I'm saying that, but that's because the Ukrainian parliament, Ukrainian decision makers decided it has to change. We believe that it's going very well, actually, and talking to patients' organizations, we can actually hear from them that they're very grateful that the government has taken that step. Shortly after Maidan, that the government has adopted a law which puts in place the idea of a system where all civil servants, everybody working in government, would have to write in a website what are their possessions. Cars, gold, silver, money, I don't know what people would have, which is very common in many other countries. I mean, it's a way for civil servants to tell the public that I am not rich, I have a few things, but I am not rich, and I declare this, and then it is open for everybody. So you can go to that database and find out who has what. Now in Ukraine, that happened late last year, thanks to also UNDP assisting in setting up the software, for example. But the law was obviously a Ukrainian law. UNDP doesn't make any laws, but we helped the government setting up the system. And as a result, now 1 million civil servants have actually declared all their possessions on their website. And when that first started, it was a bit of a scandal, because there were actually quite a few civil servants who have and possess things that are not quite understood why they have that many things. This whole database of assets can now be used, for example, the Bureau for the Prevention of Corruption, to check, to find out, did somebody get this money and this stuff in the right way, or maybe not. And then it can be turned over to the Prosecutor General, saying this person is very rich, there's no explanation of his wealth, maybe we should check whether this is all legal. You can go to the database, you take any name of one of your ministers, type it, and you will know what they have in the house and how many cars. That transparency of that system is very powerful, because it means that our politicians and our parliamentarians, judges, they cannot hide anymore. And then, of course, if you don't fill the database, or if you are proving that you put the wrong things and not enough, then you can also be prosecuted, because every civil servant by law has to fill that database. It's a very powerful system. It works in many, many countries, and it starts to work in Ukraine. Very exciting. The biggest problem these days and this day and age is that we need global solutions for big global problems, and there is not enough platform at the moment between all the countries of the world to find common solutions. And the two major problems, I believe, being the one is the conflict, the displacement, the people that are having to leave Syria, Yemen and other places, and where we cannot even find an agreement on how to deal with that at the global level. And so those are also some of the biggest problems that the United Nations deals with here in Ukraine. Well, it was just last week that 87 businesses of the Donbass, and this is where UNDP has quite a large program, they came with their production and with their factories, what they make. They came to Kyiv, to the Chamber of Commerce here, and showed that off to the rest of the country. As you know, a business is never standalone. I mean, some businesses produce inputs for other businesses. So every business is always looking for networks, for connections, maybe for export, maybe to a market, special market. So the Donbass businesses came here to find their connections with the rest of Ukraine, which is a very exciting opportunity for them. Many of those businesses were actually assisted by UNDP. We have a grant scheme in which they can obtain a small grant to get going, together with trainings, how to do your business, how to do bookkeeping, how to calculate your profit and your loss, how to find the market and all those kind of things. Also with some consulting services. If they find it difficult to do something, they can call telephone number and say, I have a problem here, can you come and help? If one expects that from the Donbass, if you travel there, you think it's agricultural, maybe it's simple types of stuff, but it was very advanced. I mean, I saw one company producing 3D printers. Also, there's one company producing very heavy equipment for train installation, something that is very advanced and can actually be exported to Europe. So there were many examples of businesses that you didn't expect that you would find them in the Donbass. As you may know, the United Nations was born out of the Second World War, and the issues of peace, tolerance, and people living peacefully together are at the core of what we do. In general, we believe that Ukrainian media, there's a lot of quite aggressive language going on, quite a lot of fighting about all kinds of very controversial subjects. But the issue of tolerance, listening to one another, understanding one another culturally, maybe between the different regions. We've started to find a number of prominent Ukrainians who have the same feeling. How to keep this country together, how Ukraine can be proudly Ukrainian, how Ukrainians can help Ukrainians, how the west of the country and the east of the country can be happy together and complement each other, all those kind of things. How can we talk about those? So we're working now with 10 what I call tolerance envoys. 2 weeks ago, Katya Chili, who is one of our envoys, she gave a concert in Kremenchuk, but also on the side she was talking to the crowd and to the people about tolerance and understanding. Liubko Deresh is one of our, he already gave there were some opportunities for him to talk to his students, to his readers about tolerance and those kind of things. And we want to expand that program. It could be many things, but we believe we can provide a platform or some opportunity for people that maybe we don't hear every day, but actually are respected by Ukrainians beyond politics. They can further this discussion on tolerance in Ukraine. Yeah, we're very proud of that. I believe it will go far. I think many people will find this interesting. I mentioned that the UN is built on the fundamental values of peace in this world, collaboration between people, tolerance, understanding, anti-discrimination. And for me, it's wonderful to spend my whole career in such an organization that pursues that. UNDP has offices in virtually every country in the world. It also means that every maybe 4 or 5 years, we do that in a new country, in another country, which also something I like very much. So you get to see a lot of people in this world, get to use the same ideas in many different cultures, and that makes it a very beautiful career. I started in Ukraine 2 years and a bit ago. No, we find it a perfect place to live. Ukraine is actually very comfortable for us, and also for the family, we really enjoy Kyiv. Of course, the situation in Ukraine is not the same in every part of Ukraine, but Kyiv definitely is the place to be. Well, the Dnieper River and the entire stream going towards Odessa, of course, is a beautiful piece of nature. Also, we've been to the Carpathian Mountains, of course, which I believe also is absolutely a stunning piece of tourism attraction that Ukraine can attract a lot of people in Europe to come. What needs to be done is to get the name of Ukraine high on the list of the people with a good reference. We need to be known to be a transparent country, a welcoming country, a country without war. So some of these bigger things in Ukraine need to be resolved, I believe, for Ukraine to get its real potential as a tourism destination and as a part of Europe, proper part of Europe.